Hello folks, it's wonderful to be back again and to do a detailed presentation on a band that I completely have fallen in love with called Imagine Dragons on Top of the World. I really like this video for one particular reason, several particular reasons I should say. One of them is that the video content is highly rich. And it's got a wealth of information about the world of deception, lies and betrayal, illusion, hypnotics, the entirety of what keeps human beings, shall we say, in a semi-hypnotic state, if not a completely hypnotic state. Okay, it is a fascinating video to watch and one I'm going to analyze in detail. Now, in order for me to do that, I do have to pause quite a lot, and there will be time spent without me saying anything. And I'm familiar with those people that do YouTube presentations. It's always very fast-paced. This one is going to be much more slower and much more methodical. And every comment that I will make, I will show detailed evidence for it. Okay, so before we start, what I would like you folks to do is actually watch this video, Imagine Dragons on Top of the World. View it first and then sit down and watch this presentation, but only after you've watched it for yourself, okay? And start qualifying those things which I'm going to say in this video as well for yourself, rather than just seeing it on the presentation, okay? And there are many tabs that I have to go through. So let's start right now. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, I've also slowed this video down to its lowest the lowest format that I can find on YouTube. And the reason that is, it's so you can see the subliminal clips and the fast transitions. What you are looking at this moment is a scene from the film Shining. Okay, this is the bike that the boy rides down the hallway in the hotel with Jack Nicholson starring it, of course. And the lady that he's looking at, that's his mother. Okay, one with the handbag standing next to the lady with the red trousers. This is one of the dress scenes from the film itself. It's letting you know that this is a series of clips from a particular period in time that has to do a lot with the deception of mankind. And we'll get to that as the video rolls on. Fascinating scene for me. I'll go in detail again. The helmet that he's wearing is of significance. The reason why is because when you wrap anything with aluminium, anything that transmits, say for example, radio waves or frequencies, microwave and things like that, the microwave cannot penetrate. And you guys are familiar with the cell towers, the cell phone towers, the microwave technology that is out there, HARP technology, as well as the cell phone. Now, don't take my word for this. Do it yourself. You remember that film from Jackie Chan, you remember that scene from Jackie Chan's film called The Foreigner, where he wraps the cell phone with tin foil? Well, when you wrap it around tin foil, it can't receive or transmit. Test it for yourself. Okay, wrap your cell phone, call it, and you'll find it'll go to voice message. Okay, they are telling you, Imagine Dragons are telling you, as well as the film Foreigner, to protect yourself, wrap it round with aluminium. Now there's a few very famous scenes from X-Men. Now this is the method of the tin foil, and I really do want you folks out there to work this out yourself, okay? But what I'm looking for, yeah, this is it. Now let's watch a few seconds of this. This, of course, is Magneto. He's got that helmet on. Okay, there's a reason for it. It's because he does not want the microwave technology to enter his brain. Although this is pictorial in nature, and it is a comic book strip, as it were, but let me make it very clear. The subject matter is serious. Okay, anybody that knows the HARP technology, the transmitters that are out there, including the smart grid and the smart meters and things like that, they know they are picking up data. So who is this guy protecting himself for? Personified, of course, by this person. I'm just going to turn the volume up on this and hear a few seconds of it.
Tyrant bent on dominating all non-human life, but I'm going to argue that he is, in fact.
Now, the commentator, of course, is making some comments on this as well. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is because most people are not aware of dramatization. What that means is that they've got this character here, the actor, okay, famous, of course, playing another character called Picard in Star Trek. They are personifying the technology that is out there in this particular character. He can penetrate your brain waves. He can penetrate your skull, interfere with it, like all microwave technology can. But of course, in dramatization, it's a personification, a caricature, okay? But the technology is out there and they're telling you, the filmmakers are telling you, the federal government is telling you, we're doing this to you. And if you want to protect it, protect yourself from it, well, you know what to do, okay? So that's what that's about. So let's just go back now. Of course, the film's Shining, and this is the little boy riding the pedal bike or whatever it's called, okay? And you're going to see a scene of that in that Imagine Dragons in a few seconds. Now, the reason why I've come on just in time for this one is because I wanted you to read the letters on the t-shirt. Just like in the film Shining, he cries out, red rum, and when you put it into the mirror, that red rum reads murder. Okay, so let me just show you folks, so you're not thinking I'm playing guess games here. It's of great significance, folks, because what you are actually walking yourself into is the beginning of how hypnosis works on a mass level. And I'm going to prove it to you, okay, as I analyze further and further into this one music video that is very telling. We're on this clip now, and this clip introduces you to the subject of the 2001 Space Odyssey, of the monolith. Okay, you guys remember the monolith? Let me see if I can find it for you. This is the monolith, okay, in the film in the film Space Odyssey 2001. And this type of theme is going to be constantly running in this music video. Let's listen to a few seconds of this. As the film rolls on in Space Odyssey 2001, once the monolith enters the world of primitive man, as it were, characterized, of course, by these ape-like creatures, but of course that's all fiction because we have no evidence of it. What we do have is gigantic leaps in faith to be able to connect one dot to a dot so far away that there is nothing in between. What they call gigantic leaps of faith. Okay, so the monolith here is the television. Okay, the television that constantly feeds you garbage, constantly lies to you. Why? Well, Just look up the BBC or any one of those Fox Newses. They are constantly lying to you. And once again, there are lots of people out there, which I'm going to show you in this presentation, that prove these things without a shadow of a doubt. And all of this out of this one music video. You see the man, the the lead singer. I think he's the lead singer, I beg your pardon. Look at the carpet, sorry, the wallpaper behind. Okay, let's go to a scene from The Shining. Okay, that's the carpet that the boy is riding, and that's the wallpaper in the music video. I've got to point this out. There are so many images in here which I can't analyze, and I'm not sure if I should do, the reason why this presentation will take too long. But what I would like to point out is that the lady herself, whether it's a wife, partner, whatever you call it, she is very unimpressed with her husband. Okay, it's mundane, as it were. That's the expression she has, it's mundane. Have a look at the house, folks. 2001. 2001. And it's a super modern house. Look at the house to the left. It is they don't match. One is from a different era and the other one is definitely from a different era. Now we have a change of subject. They're beginning to now introduce, shall we say, characters from the Beatles, the singers, okay? And the reason why this is significant in the hippie movement is because the hippie movement, they were becoming very savvy as to why politics works the way that it does, and how the banking infrastructure works, and how lies and deceptions are created to thwart human beings to find out what's actually going on in the corporate state calling itself United States, which is a corporation with the same entitlements and rights as McDonald's. Okay, but as long as they get the general population to believe, and it is a belief, that they actually are a government of authority and power, nobody ever susses them out and sack them as you would sack a McDonald's franchise from your high street by just saying, get out. That is called consent law. So the CIA and all of these covert and overt operations were going on to feed the hippie movement with songs and merriment and things like that, to thwart, obfuscate them growing more and more politically aware. Okay, and people like Brian Epstein had a lot to do with that. Now, it's going to get interesting as we go along. The fact that this character is getting into a car that's a Beetle car, and the sign on the left reads RASSED, which is a modern word, insomnia, and I'll show you the definition of it. Okay, now that's the definition of it, but I'm not going to pronounce it. But it really does mean that you are screwed beyond belief, and the mechanisms of how that screwing occurs is now becoming very familiar to me. So much so, I can reverse engineer it, and I'm teaching it to people. Okay, so let's just go back to the video again. Once again, the richness is quite beyond even my belief. Every film, every clip is engineered, just as every paving stone that is placed on your street is engineered, like the brick, like the houses. They're all engineered. Okay, they're all engineered to mean something. Here's the background of the picture of Paul McCartney, and here steps a character. Okay, but look at the pictures on the wall. We have a crucifix, we have a bust. Now, if I'm correct about this person who's behind there, the bust as it were, if it is who I think it is, I'm going to describe more of it. But here steps in the same place that Paul McCartney was, this character. And who's this character? Well, let's have a look. This character is Andy Warhol, okay? Also created in that era, and I've seen clips from other films where they introduce Andy Warhol as nothing more than a persona, a caricature created by one of these covert, overt agencies, whether they're CIA or whatever it is, or even psychological operations. And I'll talk about those things at a later stage. The fact that there's a gun pointing at his head tells you a lot. And who's on top of, who's underneath the gun? If it is Benjamin Franklin, it's going to get even more interesting. Okay. Now, Benjamin Franklin was essentially introduced to me through David-wynn Miller's videos as being a French attorney working for the British Crown. What I also found out is that this guy was also heavily involved in his early days of character assassinating people that actually found out things in life, i.e. hypnosis, the means of how hypnosis works, as well as medication, as well as people that actually had solutions, okay? And he was heavily involved in discrediting them. One of the characters was the word mesmerized comes from the word mesmer. He was the guy that introduced hypnosis and the tools and techniques of how it works. Tools and techniques, by the way, that are used by the advertising companies, the newspapers, the televisions, the filmmakers, and so on and so forth. Why? Because they're all practicing hypnosis on you. And it'll be all proven, not just by me, but by other people that I'm going to introduce you to. Once again, folks, rich with symbolisms, okay? Once again, there's too many to analyze. What's interesting to me is the two twins. The two twins are now male. In the film Shining, they are female, which means they're using mirrors. They're creating opposites, as it were, okay? The the triangle, and of course the starburst on top, in the middle of the triangle, all has a great deal of significance, and of course the globe to the left. Now, I can't tell you the significance of the three-wheeler, whether Andy Warhol drove one like that or not, I don't know, but it's there, okay? Perhaps somebody can make a comment on it. Certainly I invite people to make comment on it. Pick up this presentation, make it your own, upload it onto your own channel, because it's going to get even more interesting. Now, this particular character is from Easy Rider, okay? Now, Easy Rider was also made at the same time as 2001, with 1 year, 1 day in between, the space landing and the Space Odyssey, as well as Easy Rider. Let me see if I've got some clips of Easy Rider. Yeah, so this is a clip of Easy Rider. I'm going to play it, so let's spend a few seconds with it. Well, that is that. How these things are joined, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, okay? So you see the all-seeing eye, and of course you see that sign there like red rum. Put a mirror to it and reverse it, and you'll find it reads dragons, okay? Oh, by the way, and of course he's riding the same bike that the character in Easy Rider does as well. These films are all joined. They're all part of a subliminal episoding, okay? A word that's very rarely ever spoken about, subliminal episoding, which means one film is linked to another, appearing as they are completely different films. But all these films are doing one thing. They're preparing you for the moon landing, the deception of how that took place, which they're all going to show you here, okay? Scenic overlook, okay? 237, Route 237. Let's see if we can find out what that means. Before we do that, let's just watch Jack Nicholson in The Shining at his best. Certainly when I was a child I saw this and it was very gripping.
There's Johnny!
Well, enough of that. Now, watch very carefully. Now, this is not me making it up, folks. I'm not making it up. It's right there. Okay, you can't argue with that. Right there. Why is it significance? Why is it of significance? You're going to learn very soon. Okay, by the way, do watch the tires. Okay, it's the colors that is of interest. The tires that this signpost is sitting in. Okay, that's the same bicycle from Easy Rider. We now have the monolith. What does a monolith do in the film 2001? It creates anger, agitation among the population that is picturized by the apes, as it were. That's supposed to be representative of us. What does the television do in our daily homes? It tells lies. It tells lies about the Middle East. It tells lies about Jewish people. It tells lies about Muslim people, about American people. It tells lies all day long. Okay? And they work with a ratio of 80-20. They tell you 20% truth, 80% lie. Now, the scene here, what you're witnessing, and it's only going to last a few seconds, okay, is that the boy who is wearing the helmet that is protected, as it were, from the lies penetrating his mind, is saddened. He's saddened by how easily human beings are led and misled. Certainly, I'm an expert in this because I was misled as well. Okay, so I grieve not that much, as it were. Beautifully acted, subliminally subtle, to let the audience know on a subliminal level, on a subconscious level, the scene saddens the boy because he's protecting himself with his armament, which is the tin foil. Okay, you are of course aware of this scene. This is Abbey Road, the Beatles album, and of course they had the Beatle there as well in the album. And this particular car, Andy Warhol was driving it, which is this character. Now, I don't know about this, so people can make comments about it, but let's see if we can find some evidence for what I'm talking about. There's the car. Let me see if I can find some more. There's the car again. Let's see if I can find any more. Very famous scene, the Beatles album. And of course, Brian Epstein was the character that built these people up. Do a little bit of research on Brian Epstein and you will find they were involved in many fiction characters. Okay, what they call revenuing. A very good actor is revenued again and again, as Jim Carrey so eloquently remarks on so many of the TV shows, how these very good character actors and very good mimics are used again and again to portray different characters. And there are many people that are aware of these things. And one of these people is this particular gentleman. Let me see if I can find him. There he is. Now, this particular gentleman, well aware, one boss, does a wonderful breakdown. You folks out there, I really recommend you spend a good 2-3 hours with this person and the level of knowledge he will reveal. Okay? But of course, like most things, there will be a few percentage of errors, but so what? At the weight of the evidence that he shows you. There are many other people like this as well that do these presentations, but you need to see this to educate yourself. Now, I can't comment on the number plate, that's beyond me. Perhaps somebody else can. Of significance, that's a military vehicle, okay, driving past, and we'll come on to that later on. The film itself, the music video itself is highly self-explanatory. The dimension, the length and breadth of its explanatory reach is wonderful. It's the highest I've seen so far. You folks remember this? This is Space Odyssey 2001. Released. Let's have a look when it was released. This is the moon landing, by the way. And this is when the film was released. 1 year, 1 day. See the dates there? Just right there. That's of great significance. Okay. And we'll come on to that if I got time as to why that is of significance. This is where that is. All right. HAL 9000. Let me see if I can pull the image across. This is it here. Okay. That's what that's about in that video clip. That's the computer, as it were, in the Space Odyssey 2001, when it begins to speak in a very subtle voice, which is the beginning of Big Brother. Okay, and you'll find even in the film series or television series Big Brother, you'll find Big Brother speaks in a very soft and loving voice, just as this computer does. But of course, the soft and caring voice is just Orwellian in nature. Put a mirror in it, what you're dealing with is a vicious monster. And it is not mechanical, it is man. Okay, it is mankind doing its worst, as it were. And there is that vehicle again, the military vehicle that sped past the scene of the Beatles, Abbey Road. And of course here enters the characters in uniform, as it were. You can spot the Easy Rider character here, and the rest of them one handy Warhol. I'll pause here and introduce the subject, which is the number scene that you see when the boy looks at the door is supposed to be the number of the studio in where the moon landing was shot. Shot by Stanley Kubrick. I keep saying Kubrick. His name is Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick. All right. That's the significance of it. Why? It's because they're using subliminal clips. And this is how they're speaking to you. They're letting you know what studios it was shot in, who was it shot by, and also revealing these things later on in the films like The Shining. Okay? Why is it important? It's because it is not your conscious mind that is listening. It is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind has the ability to have to absorb information that would normally take you about 4 years to do, and it can do that in a minute. Okay, and these are all measurable. You folks can read up on what RAM stated and things like that is, and I'll introduce you to RAM state later on in this video. What you're witnessing here is called mirroring. Okay, just like Adrian Gray's picture, Oscar Wilde's famous book and film as well. This mirroring is of great significance. Why? It's because they are using mirrors, and you're going to see more and more as I walk you through the mirroring effect. You folks out there in YouTube land, what you have to do, just like a scene from Bruce Lee, is to shatter the icons within that hall of mirrors. Rather than fighting the mirrors, you're going to have to shatter the images that are projecting the actual things that are going on. So don't go looking for phantoms, and I'll introduce you to phantoms as well. This is also another scene of mirroring. Okay, it just looks like a door opening with a single light on top, but it's actually mirroring. It is a mechanism. It is a mechanism so well used. In fact, I won't speak anymore. I'll just go straight into it if I can find it. Now, what you're looking at here is ways of treating phantom pains. What are phantom pains? When a person loses a limb, what happens is your parasympathetic nervous system sends out pulses looking for the limb, because the subconscious mind, which operates the parasympathetic nervous system, is not aware that it's lost a limb. And what happens because of that, it's constantly looking for that limb. Only the conscious mind knows there's a loss. Now, according to rejuvenation, which occurs with children that have lost fingertips and things like that, the fingertips grow back. It appears that we have the same faculty, but the gene, for some reason, or our capacity to control that, it's switched off. Probably because of programming. What is it that I'm saying? Here, phantom pains, remember what phantom pains are. Phantom pains are imaginary pains. They're not real. But try telling that to a person that's having phantom pains. They are very real. What is fear in us? What is apprehension, anxiety? They are unfounded fears. And these phantom pains exist in us as well, just as it is with a person that has lost a limb. To be able to switch on that phantom pain and to be able to switch it off is the mechanism of mirrorings. So what does that mean? When you get a patient, a person that has lost a limb, to look at his leg, not directly, but in the mirror, to the point where he cannot see his own limb directly with his own eyes, but only in the mirror, and he begins to touch that part of the body that is lost, is missing the limb, and when he sees that in a mirror, the subconscious mind, because of its ability to reverse images, just like red rum and so on and so forth, will now accept the command to no longer look for a limb that is not there. This is how they're programming us. Our ability to switch off phantom pains is exactly how they've switched on the phantom pains using mirrors. What can be switched on in a mirror can be switched off in a mirror. This is where the solution lies, and this is my ability to reverse engineer these pains that we have, the fear, the anxieties, which the governments use through a whole different medium of manipulation, false flags, and so on and so forth. These characters that are out there have no more power than the use of a mirror. Shatter the mirror, just like a scene from Bruce Lee. What you're looking at here is a film studio. It's a film studio with all the gadgets to be able to create the illusion that something real is going on. Okay, what is this? What is it that you're looking at? It is sound effects, light effects, like in any modern studio. But it is modern equipment, it is digital. So you folks will have to work out what that is, because I don't know what that is. But certainly modern technology has a lot to play with it. And I mean to play with it. Now, I like this scene. This is the lady, of course, who kissed her husband goodbye, unimpressed with his with his job, shall we say. It's prominent to me because I once watched a documentary called When Astronauts Go Wild. I think that's the correct title of it, and I really encourage you folks to watch it. The character in there, sorry, the documentary maker, actually approaches the astronauts, the moon landing, Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and what you witness is so bizarre. It's as it said, it is, you're screwed beyond belief, because how these people react to his presence is that of a perpetual liar who's just got caught out on a lie. That includes Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and the rest of them. It's well watching that documentary, okay, When Astronauts Go Wild. This, of course, is the Sputnik crew, the Russian crew, okay, and they got a monkey on top of their head, and they said they sent a monkey to space. What I discovered about this illusion, why they tried to go to such a lengths to be able to con people into thinking that they've gone into space and moon landing, was revealed to me by Miller when I spoke to him, as well as listened to all his videos. It has to do with conning people to think that they have seen the Earth from space, and therefore capture the earth as a maritime vessel, earth being a vessel floating in a sea of space, as he quite often says. Okay, it's maritime law. And if you want to know more about maritime law, just as one of my students pointed out when he was in the aeroplane to come and see me from Aussie land, the mileage read on the aeroplane, aeronautic speed. Okay, it is aeronautics, which means it's in maritime. All right. Let's see if I got some pictures about Sputnik. Yeah, this is Sputnik. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correct, but then I don't care. All have significance because the race to get to space and get to the moon was so they can capture the Earth to say that they're outside of the vessel and they're looking down on the vessel and they're going to claim it as salvage, which means they've discovered it. Just as the British, when they went to Ireland and said this is a desolate country and there's no people in it, and they captured it that way in maritime, and they treated the people exactly the same, just as they did in Australia and so many of the other countries. Even renaming them absurd things like Aborigines, which means non-original people, as taught to me by Miller and the rest of the world, of course. I quite like this scene. Why? It's because it looks like the Russians are jealous that the US got there, or got to the illusion and the deception before the Russians did. I quite like that. And the monkey even, I think even the monkey is in sympathy with it. I particularly like this scene because he's in a rocket ship and he's taking his helmet off. And also, it has significance because of uh, that red light bulb, as it were, in Space Odyssey 2001. The background light is very similar to that. Something hideous is going on behind the scenes, is what I think this director is pointing out. The sad part of all this for me is that the twins actually get killed in The Shining. Why is that so significant? It's because the twins in psychology has a great deal of to do with left brain, right brain, lack of symmetry, albeit in mythology, symmetry, as in Castor and Pollux, as opposed to Cain and Abel, and Romulus and Remus, which are getting people to be convinced that our left brain and right brain are fighting each other when they're actually destroyed by the fictitious conveyance of language. One meaning to the subconscious mind, one meaning to the conscious mind. Aborigine to the conscious mind means that it's some sort of a native. Aborigine to the subconscious mind means that it's a non-original person, as in abnormal. Okay, that's how they got us split-minded. That's how they got Cain to kill Abel. That's how they got Romulus for Romulus to kill Remus, or vice versa, as to oppose to the celestial relationships that we're supposed to be having with all facets of us, whether it's left brain or right brain, like Castor and Pollux, the two celestial twins that loved each other dearly. You can see the expression on their face. This is not joy, this is disgust. You can imagine what your subconscious mind is going through when it's able to see all of these things. But of course, your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a lie and a truth. It's not interested. It sees no lie, tells no lies, can think no lies. Like those three monkeys, as it were. And I think I've got some images of it, which I'll share later on. What I'm trying to say, what I am saying, is that the splitting of the minds is occurring because of the language. Okay, the language is so toxic and so poison that the two hemispheres cannot speak. The logical side cannot speak with the emotional side. The emotional side cannot speak with the logical side. Why? Because they're speaking two different languages, not because they're two different functions, is because the language one side is using is incongruent with the other side. Okay, that's like saying Castor can no longer hear Pollux, and as a result they become Cain and Abel, Romulus and Remus. And you look up how many of those twins there are. There are many twins. All the gods are twins. All the Greek gods are twins. All the Asian gods are twins as well. But they don't tell you these things, and you don't certainly hear about these things in mythology. But they all are telling you about the workings of the subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, in this scene, which I'm going to play for you at normal speed, the song reveals itself.
That's one fast step for man, one giant pursuit for mankind.
What he said is one false step for mankind and one gigantic deceit for man. Let's hear that again.
That's one fast step for man, one giant pursuit for mankind.
Well, that says it. I want to just take you back to this card here. What you're looking at, or what you just looked at a few seconds ago, is a test card. Okay, test cards are used to line up the colors, also to line up the X and the Y lines that are found on television for crystal clear image, as it were. For those people that are out there, help us out and tell me what the significance of the Indian or native is in this clip, because I don't understand it. As for the degrees, I think they have quite a lot to do with numerology. I don't want to go too much into it, but if I certainly was to analyze it on a numerological level, I'll get to the root of it, but I don't want to go down there. Let one of yous do it, okay? Make those comments, make those contributions. I mean, to me, that's an hilarious scene where the mic falls on his head. If I put the animation in real time, you'll see the comical nature of it. The reason why I'm doing it in this presentation in this way is because I don't want to break copyright, and I don't want this video to be pulled down because of copyright. I mean, that is hilarious. But what you're about to see is going to become even more interesting. Do you folks see the image in the helmet? Do you see the shadow approaching? See the image in the helmet? This is the director. And who's the director? Who's the director of 2001? Stanley Kubrick. Okay, looking down at the set, looking down at the actors. Yeah, as the clip says, moon landing, and of course in reverse, dragons. Now, I've got to point this one out. On the moon, according to mind experiments, there can't be a shadow because the sun will be blazing in every direction. It'll be like having a sundial when the sun is directly on top of the dial. It will cast no shadow. These are not mistakes. They are engineered mistakes. They are engineered mistakes, just like the moon landing, because of a principle that is time-honored. Your subconscious mind, even though it cannot see no evil, hear, think no evils, because it's in RAM state, rapid eye movement state, it has the faculties to be able to pick up one clip in about 120. And if we move on further into the higher processes of the human mind, you're looking at one clip in every 50,000 clips in 1 second. In other words, it can see one wing beat at a time of a hummingbird, which beats its wing about 220 times, I believe, per second. Not a difficult task at all. Why are they making these deliberate mistakes? Because if those higher parts of your brain doesn't see these mistakes, it will know it's being conned. Just as a magician telling you that he's not a magician, but has great wondrous skills of supernature to be able to do it. Your subconscious mind and your higher functioning brain knows that the magician is playing tricks. But when the same tricks are being played, just trying to deceive you into thinking that there are no tricks, the higher function brain will pop out. What does that mean? It means that in a lie detector, when you are taking a lie detector and you tell a lie to yourself, something inside of you, around you, about you, steps forward and says, liar, liar, liar. And it does this by causing your pupils to dilate, your palms and your fingers to become moist, so the conductivity of your skin starts to increase. Your lips and your tongue becomes drier of moisture as the saliva withdraws. Flight or fight symptoms. Okay, your heartbeats starts to change, which a lie detector picks up. Just like the lie detector picks up the traits of you lying to yourself, what it also does, it also picks up the traits of another person lying to you. That they never taught you, did they? They never taught you that. I wonder why. Your higher functioning brain has the ability to pick up the nuances that go on in the person that is lying to you in front of you. So when he deliberately lies to you, a higher functioning brain steps out and says, liar, liar, liar. Just as it does for yourself, so it does to other people. This is why these engineered mistakes are in, is so your higher functioning brain doesn't step out and say the moon landing is a bloody hoax. And this is why the courts and the governments go to great lengths to screw up. Is because they want you to know, your higher functioning brain, that this is all just an engineered exercise, like the false flags and so on and so forth. Okay? Do you see the mechanism? And I'm going to go more detail into it. Of course, many are scenes here coming back again and again with a monolith. And of course with that magical dial, which means switch it off or change channel. Something that we should be practicing a long time ago. Just think about the scene you just saw. We laugh and joke because the magician does his trick, and we love to be fooled. And it is the state of that part of our brain that loves to be fooled. But the other parts of it, just like that boy, is in horror. Just as Stanley here is. Why is he looking the way? Well, he's played a mass deception. Okay? And he's probably quite confused and thinking to himself, well, what the hell have I gone and done? Okay? You folks out there, do some searches on this director. He's a wonderful director, and how he got caught out on this, I don't know. But do some searches, and you'll soon discover it. Of course, typical CIA, uniform, men in black, the spectacles, the glasses, as it were. And Stanley Kubrick sitting there looking very saddened that he's probably pulled what should have been a masterpiece, is thinking to himself, well, this is just a big con job. This is what I've ended up being. I'm sympathizing with the man, of course, and the expression on the actor's face there, acting as Stanley. Now, one of the people that reveal the space station con and moon landing con points out how they're able to create weightlessness. apart from the aeroplane nosediving, as it were, creating a sense of weightlessness. But essentially, when you put somebody through a super magnet, like a conduit, if you've got a big super magnet in your living room and you stand in the middle of it, you will find that you will also have a sense of weightlessness. This experiment has been done again and again, and there are many YouTube footages showing you how that works. Okay, when you put something in a very strong magnetic field, what happens is that you have a sense of weightlessness, because electromagnetism and dynamism, they're all one and the same thing. They never told you that, and they call it the cousins, gravity, electrons, and dynamics, which means movement. They all do the one and the same thing. Wherever there's movement, there's a flow of electrons. Wherever there's a flow of electrons, there's gravity. Wherever there's a gravity, there's dynamism. Okay, just like a charging capacitor will resist you moving it in one direction or the other, like a gyroscope while it's charging. It's because there's dynamics inside. Okay, where there's dynamics, there's electrons flows. Anyway, enough of that. I think what the groupies are doing here, I have no idea. But I'm just going to go with it. Perhaps somebody can, out there on YouTube land, give me an example. But certainly, they are all female groupies. I can't spot a single man in there. Okay, folks. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through some of the evidences that I have to make the claims that I do, okay, as well as the filmmaker in that music video, okay. You folks have seen The Shining, of course you know what it is, and I've already shown you this, which is the carpet, and I've also shown you how the boy looks back at that number, okay, which was also the anyway. The point that I'm making is that these are not coincidences, okay? They're in your face, as it were, and you cannot afford to ignore these things. I was going to show you this wonderful clip of Shining, but I think I've already done that, so I won't. This is when the film, sorry, I beg your pardon, when the film The Foreigner was released, there's a scene in there where Jackie Chan wraps the cell phone in tin foil. That's a public announcement telling you how easy it is to shut off these technologies, whether they're cell phone towers or lining your house with tin foil, or even wrapping tin foil around your smart meter. Okay, that is how easy you can shut it off, and there's a reason why that needs to be shut off so easy, and that's a subject that I'll be covering in this presentation as well. Now, I've got to mention this film, like any other film, because it's mirroring. They always make the bad guy look as the good guy, and the good guy as the bad guy. Magneto is, of course, the person that was tortured, raped, pillaged, murdered, as a man, as a boy, his entire family, and yet they portray him as the bad guy. What does he want to do? He wants to stop the badness. What does this guy want to do that acts as the placid individual that wants to save the mutants as well as everybody else, acting as the middleman, keeping the war perpetuating? He services both. He acts as the good guy, but his nature is wickedness itself, and he hides himself in a cloak of self-righteousness, and that's what he is. Okay, have no mistake about it. They're switching roles, just as you see these modern films where the vampire is now the loving mate, as it were, and his victim is the one that he's married to. Psychopaths trying to convince you that they are actually in on it to help you folks, the victim, as it were, and they call that victimhood. This is the space landing, and you do need to research a little bit on it. This wonderful video that I've shown you has a great deal of explanatory depth, so go for it. Okay, now remember, insomnia is a mental condition. Insomnia is also another word for being in a semi-trance state. Okay, when you are in a semi-trance state, what happens is that you are open to suggestion, and I'll give you the definition of suggestion very soon. If you folks out there in YouTube land, and I'm sorry to keep saying that, want to understand more about the world of hypnosis, then watch this guy. Okay, is hypnosis fake? But what he's doing is showing you how hypnosis works and what it means. And it's fascinating to me because I've been studying rapid eye movement state for a very long time, and he makes it very clear here. When we are in a fetal stage, what is happening is that we are in RAM state, and in RAM state we're learning, and as the genetic code unfolds itself on a mental level, on a biological level, into your brain system, as it were, downloading all that genetic mechanical knowledge into something more dynamic in your brain. The baby essentially is in RAM state. It's going through its entire evolution, its entire growth from the day one to the day that it's born. All is being unfolded into the brain in RAM state. And in RAM state, it's a phenomenal state. Okay, your capacity to learn is increased by thousands of times. And I've got the statistics. I'll see if I can dig it up before I end this presentation. Okay, I recommend, highly recommend, that you watch this guy. It's a TED Talk.
That there was nothing to Mesmer's claims that he was not really healing people, and as a result, Mesmer was treated and named a fraud and a charlatan. In fact, here's some popular artwork of the time that shows Mesmer being sent to the fires of obscurity by the light of reason, science, and justice. I would say that till this day, as a result, hypnotism.
Now, what he's talking about there is Benjamin Franklin. Okay, he was trusted, like so many other people, to discredit credible people. Okay, now Mesmer did a lot of things. He healed people with the technique, as well as show people the techniques that are being used on yourselves. The film, what's it called? I've forgotten the name of the film, but it's got Will Smith in it, where he acts as a con man. Does a wonderful job to let you know how hypnosis and power suggestion works to con people. And I'm sorry I forgot the name of the film. Oh, Focus. It's called Focus. Okay, that's Benjamin Franklin. Now, this is Mesmer himself. As I said to you, the word hypnosis, to be mesmerized comes from his name. All right, and there are many characters like this in art, in science, and so on and so forth, where they actually really discovered something, only to find these people that practice these vile techniques don't want you to know, and as a result, they do the very thing to discredit other people from ever studying people like him, like saying he's a charlatan. Now, you folks do need to read up on RAM state, because if you can achieve RAM state, your learning process will take much quicker. Okay, RAM state is quite a unique state. It's also very similar to trance state. Okay, say for example when you're going walking down the street and you see advertising passing you in the form of buses. Okay, what is happening, that's like a film reel being rolled out. That, say for example you are going up an escalator and you're passing lots of these little ads as you go up the escalator. That's like a rolling film. Okay, so that's how the subliminal clippings work and things like that. And that's what this artist, Imagine Dragons, are so very well have taught you folks out there what they're doing to you. This is quite unique because I always tell people that in RAM state it sees no